Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient, powerful, abundant ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue year over year. I cover topics from pricing, sales, networking, objections, ideal clients, some marketing ideas, and really about how to increase your cash flow and profitability and set boundaries so you have the firm that you've always dreamt of. You're no longer giving away your time for free. You're no longer putting yourself on sale, and you are being paid for the value and worth that clients actually appreciate you for. So you'll learn tips and strategies as well as hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm of your dreams and the life full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today we have a very interesting and different topic about relaxed success. And I'm joined by my partner in crime, Denise Mandeau, who also works with me here at the Abundant Accountant Empire. So we will welcome her shortly. But if you're looking for some relaxed success and also having relaxed stress and not really sure how to do that, I know that everyone is telling you to grind out 14-hour days and that you got to work more. But ultimately, that just has you burnt out, burning the candle at both ends and completely depleted and exhausted. So I have a brand new masterclass that you can watch over at theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass. Not only will it show you how to put yourself first, but also how to work a lot smarter than harder. So it is an investment of 43 minutes of your time, but it will pay off dividends in the long term. So head on over to theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass to register and watch. And now let's welcome Denise to the show. Welcome, Denise, to the show.
Hey, Michelle. Good to be here.
Yes, it's awesome to have you back. My partner in crime all the way on the East Coast while I am in the West Coast. But today we're talking about probably an oxymoron for a lot of you. I think that's how you say the word. But today's topic on the Abundant Accountant Podcast is relaxed success. And Denise, we were having a chit chat about it the other day. And I said, you know what? We need to have a podcast episode on this topic because I think, what do you think the biggest challenge is for most accounting and tax professionals from our phone calls of the ones that we have? What do you think, Denise?
Well, most of the people that we talk to are under tremendous amounts of stress. They're grinding it all the time. They're like trying to please everybody. They're multitasking. They're doing everything for everybody. And they're not sleeping at night. They're, not taking care of their bodies. Like, go down the list, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, they're getting burnt out.
Yeah, so we don't want that for you. And I know this is probably a topic that you've heard quite often, but we're going to come about it from a place of having relaxed stress because I don't think you can 100% eliminate it. And especially in our industry, I don't think it's something that's ever going to be eliminated. But how can you be stressed out in a relaxed state? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So have a pen and paper. I'm going to be sharing some stories about what I do personally because I believe I am in a relaxed stress environment most of the time. And I'm going to share some of my routines and rituals. And then also from a previous business of mine, I had a very, very high stressed environment for almost a little over 8 years, having my previous business in the food space. It was prepared meals. And Denise had some questions for me about that. And I said, you know what? Save them for the podcast episode. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And Denise, I know that this got brought up in one of your coaching calls with a coach that you have about having relaxed stress or relaxed success as well. Relaxed stress and relaxed success. I think they go hand in hand sometimes when people have success, their emotional state goes 180 degrees to the other side. And that could, not support us as well in our health, in our mental state. So what was the main thing that said, you know what, we need to have a conversation on this topic?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because I've had an opportunity to kind of take a step back. I mean, you and I, we work together, but we've learned to work in a very relaxed and successful way.
Yes.
And I think both of us have learned over the past several years that success. I mean, what the world or what the gurus say is you got to grind it out. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the hours. But why do we do that? Because we want to be accepted and valued.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've come to find, or what we uncovered, was that, wait a minute, just because they believe that doesn't mean it has to be true. Like, what if that isn't even true? What if we can have our business be accepted and valued, and not feel like we're always being, manipulated, or we're always having to give everything away and please everybody and do everything for everyone but ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we can actually stop being victims to our circumstances and actually just really be grateful, present, and know that we have the tools, we have the value, we have the ability to really create our own destiny any way we want.
Yeah. And anytime, and there's a lot of studies that prove this, so I won't go into the science. And I know that if you're listening, you might think I'm crazy, but anytime you've picked up your phone at nighttime, you're like, let me check my emails at 10 or 11 or midnight, and you think that doing more is better, or that you'll get it out of the way for the next day, it's actually called the law of diminishing returns. Anytime we're putting effort in above an average of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, so a total of 40 hours, we get less done. And there's plenty of studies that have shared on this, 40 hours a week can be optimized productivity. And Denise and I would say now our goal is, 30 hours a week. But always having breaks in between is really key, because that is how you can be in a relaxed state, a relaxed stress environment, relaxed success environment. You're not having these highs and lows. And, like everyone probably has shared, and I'm sure there's plenty of books on it, but I think it's the dumbest thing where you grind out 14 hours a day and all this nonsense. But if you actually look at people who are highly compensated, meeting their goals, they're having breaks in between their day. How many of us here are taking breaks? Like real 20 minutes, 30-minute breaks in between meetings, in between doing a tax return, in between working on a resolution case. Any of those things, when we're not taking breaks, we go down a downward spiral.
And it's because we commoditize our value, right? If we're, especially, accounting professionals that we know that haven't worked with us, many of them, right, are billing by the hour. So if you don't work, you don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were working in a different way, a different business model that wasn't about that, trading dollars for hours, that's like an example, right, of relaxed success.
Yeah, and I think the tax attorneys that we've worked with, because billing by the hour is their business model, and the way we teach is a 180, and then they're like, oh, we've been doing it wrong for a long time. And the tax attorneys have even shared with us, it's not about the time that we spend, it's about the outcome and the results that we deliver. And one of our students, David, shared a story. Do you remember that story, Denise, about the drawing that Picasso did?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you tell that?
Well, I don't really remember exactly how it goes, but
Oh,
do you
okay.
know?
Well, yeah, he said that Picasso was sitting in a
In a
cafe,
cafe, yep.
right? And somebody came up to him. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're Picasso. Could you draw something on my napkin?" And
Mm-hmm.
Picasso took his napkin and he squiggled something, and he goes, "That'll be $5,000." He's like, "What? You just squiggled on a napkin?" He goes, "It took you 5 seconds." He goes, "Yes, but it took me my lifetime to know exactly how to do that."
Exactly. So if it's taken your lifetime and you've been in practice for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or even 1 year, maybe in corporate, you still have all these years of experience. But why do some of us still charge by the hour and get into this hourly rut where if you would like to create what we call relaxed success with relaxed stress, because again, that's not going to go anywhere. We're always going to have some stressful days. But when you're coming from a relaxed place and not burning the candle at both ends, the results are extremely different. And the way that you can communicate that value to your clients suddenly shifts too. Um, I don't know if you read about this, but I was reading this article on success, and they were talking about these elite musicians. And these elite musicians would sleep 8 hours a night and they would take a nap. Where the regular musicians, if they were not like, let's say, elite, they were doing extra practice sessions, they were staying up late practicing, and that's where they were having diminishing returns. So it's how do you create this balance? And I can't take naps. That naps just aren't in it for me. However, my boyfriend, he relies on naps. I think it's fantastic. I think naps are amazing if you can take a nap. But whatever it is for you, how can you create relaxed success in your environment? What would need to shift? Denise, what are the things that you have done personally to create this in your life? To give some examples.
Well, I've put structure in my life and
Mm-hmm.
made some decisions of what my boundaries are, right? Boundaries are super important, that I don't pick up the phone after a certain hour of night.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned I do not check my email on the weekends. As tempting as that is, I found that, you know what? If it's really, if it's that important, then somebody will call me. But if people know my boundaries, they know I'm not going to, even if they reached me on the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to get taken care of till business hours.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yep.
That's okay. So those kind of things, I love having, I guess you call it an atomizer, right? Where you put I put lavender drops in there and it
Mm.
mists up calming lavender in my office. It's very, it's peaceful. I've created a peaceful environment, even in my office, that when I am working, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. One of the things I do, I love jazz music or chill music. And, if you think of all your senses, you have smell, you have your ears, you have your look, your eyes. And what Denise was sharing was, the smell sense. So if you still have your senses, all three of them, or all of them, but there's more than that, you can have the scent going. You can have the low key jazz music or something in the background. And it changes our physical state. And it comes, again, from a relaxed state. Everything we're talking about today is trying to share with you how you can have relaxed success, but also for some of you listening, you could be thinking, well, Michelle, I'm stressed all the time. I get that. I completely understand. And this would also work for relaxed stress. So if you're not listening to any music during the day as you're pumping out tax returns, doing accounting, doing bookkeeping, maybe it's the simple thing of turning on some light music. Or maybe if you love the smell of coffee, brew a pot of coffee. Just don't drink it. It's a lot of caffeine. Just smell it. That's what I do sometimes. Or we even have boiled cinnamon and oranges to make it smell, holiday-ish. I've done
Ooh.
that. Yep. So if you're, in the office or maybe you're even working from home, you could boil that. But what are different things that you could visually see, change the scent in the environment you're working in, and also change what you're listening to? Those are some really simple tweaks that you can do today. And I have to talk about sleep because I love my sleep. And I think the more relaxed stress you can create in your life, the better your sleep will get. Because when you embrace this relaxed state, then you will be able to sleep a lot better. And as a busy accounting professional, tax firm owner, it probably is a little challenging to get a lot of sleep. And I get that. But making these small tweaks will slowly really, you'll start to reap these kinds of benefits and start to see the shifts and the changes in how you feel the next day. And it's these small little tweaks that you can implement right now because, maybe committing to like Denise, she doesn't check her email on the weekends. That works for her. For me, I love it. I'm such in a relaxed state on the weekends that I don't mind it. I don't get very many emails anyway, but I have extra time. I'm in a relaxed state. I might be listening to, music in Greece that day, watching my YouTube channels. That's what I do for visual. I turn on YouTube and I see these beautiful sceneries of places that I will visit or I have already visited because I like the remembrance of it. So really having to think and work and make changes and shifts just like the world-class musicians do or the top executives. This is going to build a new discipline by being able to get more done by doing less. And we talk about that at the Abundant Accountant by working a lot smarter than harder. Because working hard is exhausting. I did that for 8.5 years. I don't recommend that for anybody.
What did that cause for you? If you can kind of go back for a minute, Michelle, like what was that like for you when you were in high stress? How did that impact your relationships and just your own health even?
Yeah, I mean, high stress, it didn't do me any good. I think I was even partially depressed at one point. I didn't know what depression was, but I think I had that at one point. I was always irritated. I was on edge. I wasn't that happy. I'm told by everybody I'm around, Michelle, you are a different person now. And
Mm,
and part of it was having to close my business and just move on and put that behind me as a part of my very expensive MBA program. And take those lessons learned and, keep the past in the past and move forward with everything that I learned to make different changes. But there's
yeah.
one thing I did during those 8.5 years, even though it was the most stressful time of my life. And what I did was I focused on what I did have control over because I wasn't having relaxed success at the time. I was having high stress failure. So I said, how could I have relaxed stress? What are some things that I could do to bring me sort of to an even keel, even though I did not have a lot of control over some things? For those of you that don't know what I used to do, I had a meal prep company called Fitzy Foods. And we had a retail store. We had a manufacturing kitchen. I had pitched my products to vitamin shops. So we built out 10 stores in the New York, New Jersey area and got our food into their stores and had to figure out the distribution and the manufacturing of the food in New York. We also got our products into Costco and didn't have enough money to fund the inventory for that. So that was stressful. Always having not enough money to make payroll, which I'm sure some of you listening might have that sometimes where cash flow is up and down and sideways. And with all of that comes a lot of stress. But there were a few things I had control over. And what I had control over was what I put in my mouth, the food choices that I had, and the amount of sleep I could take. If I could get some rest, I knew that the next day was going to be just a little bit better. But if I would stay up worrying or, checking emails and reading about whatever challenge or broken. I mean, one day there was like a flood. It looked like Hurricane Katrina outside of our kitchen. A pipe broke. Another day, all the ovens were broken. Another day, the walk-in refrigerator overfroze. I mean, these types of problems I had were massive. And you were just on this emotional roller coaster ride. But I knew that if I could figure out a good way to make sure I went to bed at a certain time, I had a routine, I had discipline around the things I could control, that the patience that I would have the next day for the challenges that would come up really were diminished. I would have more patience instead of more stress, I should say.
Completely understand. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was very stressful. And if you were learning from that you were operating under that high level of stress and trying to manage it versus how you do business now.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like for you now?
Now it's all relaxed. It's relaxed success. I wake up. My morning routine is very important to me, so I pretty much do the same thing every morning. I have some oatmeal with 6 strawberries, some protein powder. I drink a half a gallon of water by about 11 a.m. I mosey on to the gym right after oatmeal. After that, I will make a decaf latte with some almond milk, a little bit of honey. I will have a protein shake, and then I will start my day. And I usually start my day anywhere from 10:30 to 11 a.m. every day. I don't start working prior to that. And that's really important to me to keep relaxed success. I also sleep really, really well. I make sure I go to bed. I was having a discussion with my boyfriend where he just crashes. He'll just stay up and then he'll just crash, like a 9-year-old, like trying not to go to sleep because his parents are telling him, go to bed, go to bed. Where I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, nope, it's time to go to sleep. And I always get 8 hours of sleep. I actually track my sleep every night. I know a lot of you listening are very analytical and love to track and measure things. Maybe even tracking your sleep and seeing how is your sleep versus what you think you're sleeping, because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my day. I try to only work from 10:30 to 11 to maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock. Some days are a little bit longer, but that would be by choice only. And then once a week, I volunteer my time. So on Tuesdays, I only work a few hours, and then I volunteer at the suicide hotline. Now, that is very, very stressful.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Some weeks aren't as bad as others, but this is a volunteer position, and afterwards, after a stressful day or after a stressful shift, what we talk about is, what are you going to do for yourself? What's your self-care plan look like? And I think that for each of you listening, you could say, what does my self-care plan look like after a stressful day? And that is how you can create a world of relaxed stress versus, high stress. What could I do to take care of myself? What's the self-care regimen? And my supervisor on the volunteer shift, that is protocol. You have to be able to share what you're going to do after your shift. And I think for each of us, if you have a very stressful day, what can you do to relax that doesn't involve, maybe having a drink or a glass of wine, something to maybe take a walk outside, or if it's too cold, play with a pet, or take a bath. Do something to bring yourself down to that relaxed state.
Yeah, I think it's critical. And that's the thing, is that when you take these steps, right, then when you are working, because you've taken care of yourself, it's a completely different experience. Like, one of the things that I'm clear about when we're, in the business that we have is, we don't, even though there's ups and downs, just like any other business, we don't react, we respond, right?
Yeah.
We don't have big highs and lows. We don't, like, if somebody doesn't want to work with us, okay, no problem. We don't add additional meaning. We don't, And part of that is because, Michelle, we really know our value and our worth.
Yep.
And we only work with people who understand that and respect and accept us and respect what we do and value what we do. And when I think when you've created your business that way and you've actually stood your ground, then anything can happen. You can handle it. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it becomes less stressful.
Yeah. Because when you hold things too tight, think about it. If you hold on to something too tight, it doesn't let the blood flow in your hands, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So you got to loosen up and let the blood flow. Let the blood flow in your business. And don't worry about where's the business. The business is going to come in? Of course it's going to come in. Because the more stressed you are, that's also a repellent, I believe.
Yeah, it's not going to attract the things that you want.
Yeah.
So I think for today, it's, what tweaks can you make for your visual, for your smell? What scents could you add? Or, I like sage. What music can you turn on? What things can you shift in your office, home office, corporate cubicle, whatever you're doing right now, to create a relaxed environment for your senses? And then think about, if you have a stressful day, what's your self-care plan look like? What are you going to do differently today? And taking care of yourself. So, thank you for joining us here on our discussion of having relaxed success. As you can see and hear in our voices, it's always relaxed. We have people sometimes that are very upset, and not so happy. I had a woman like that the other day, just a very angry CPA, and I get it. I'd be angry if I were her too. Being underappreciated and undervalued by her clients and always getting her bills torn apart. Like, why are you charging me for this? Why are you I don't think any of you want that, nor do you deserve it. If you want to see how some of our accounting and tax clients have changed and gotten to more of a relaxed success where they are taking vacations during tax season. I just heard from one of our clients, Ross. He took 5 days off to go snowboarding during tax season. If you want that, then make sure to check out our brand new masterclass at theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass and see for yourself. It's a 45-minute investment to watch our webinar that maybe you can figure out ways to put yourself first, so you're not taken advantage of by your clients anymore and angry like this woman the other day, because that did not look like I didn't see her, but it just didn't sound very fun. And I think everyone wants to get their life back. And if you want to get your life back, then head on over to theabundantaccountant.com/masterclass to see how others have gotten their life back. And we give you some more steps on to what to do and what to take, in addition to what we just talked about today. So thank you, Denise, for being here with us, as always. Thank you, listeners, for being here on the Abundant Accountant podcast. And if you think this show would help one of your colleagues, then make sure to share this episode with them. And we will see you in the next episode.